David and Goliath, faith that defeats giants. What do you do when your fear looks bigger than your faith? We the valley of fear. And the enemy before you seems unshakable, and every voice around you whispers, "You can't win this one." Long ago, in the valley of Elah, two armies faced each other, the Philistines on one hill, Israel on the other, and a valley of fear between them. From the Philistine camp stepped a man unlike any other. His name, Goliath of Gath. A warrior of towering height and terrible reputation. His armor glistened in the sun like molten bronze. His spear was thick as a weaver's beam. Day after day, his voice thundered across the valley. "Goliath, choose a man to fight me. If he kills me, we will be your servants. But if I kill him, you will serve us." For 40 days, his challenge echoed through the land. Morning and evening, the giant's roar broke the silence, and no one answered. The once mighty soldiers of Israel trembled in fear. Even King Saul, who stood head and shoulders above the rest, could not find courage to step forward. Fear ruled the camp. Faith seemed absent. The valley that should have been filled with battle cries now echoed only with silence and shame. But what no one knew was that, far from the battlefield, in the quiet hills of Bethlehem, God was preparing a shepherd. A boy who had learned not to fear the darkness, because he had learned to trust the voice of the light. Today I declare, fear will not rule my valley. No matter how loud the giant's voice sounds, my faith will answer back. I will not run from the battle, because the Lord is with me. My courage will rise where fear once lived. The shepherd's faith. Faith doesn't begin on the battlefield. It begins in the quiet places no one applauds. While soldiers trembled before Goliath, a young shepherd sang songs of courage among his father's sheep. Day after day, David watched over the flock in the hills of Bethlehem. The wind carried his songs across the fields, songs not of fear, but of trust. David, softly, to himself, "The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want." Then came the test no one saw. A lion crept through the shadows, eyes fixed on a helpless lamb. Most men would have fled, but David ran toward the danger. His sling spun through the air, a sharp crack, the lion fell. Another time, a bear rose against him, but faith met it the same way, with courage, not retreat. These private victories became the training ground for a public miracle. One morning, David's father called out to him, "Jesse, take this bread and roasted grain to your brothers. Bring me news of the battle." David obeyed. He wasn't chasing glory, he was delivering lunch. But destiny often hides in ordinary assignments. When he reached the valley, he heard a voice, deep, mocking, and blasphemous. Goliath's roar filled the camp again. Israel's men scattered, terrified. But something in David's spirit refused to bow. His eyes narrowed. His faith rose. "David, who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" The men nearby turned to look at him, a shepherd untrained in war, yet unshaken by fear. Faith was standing where fear had lived too long. Today I declare, my faith will not hide in the background. The same God who gave me victory in secret will show himself strong in public. I may look small, but heaven fights beside me. My confidence is not in size, it is in God. The challenge and the choice. Faith will always be challenged. Not by giants alone, but by the voices that doubt you most. When word reached Saul that a young shepherd was asking about Goliath, the king called for him. David stood before the man Israel once trusted, a king now weary, broken by fear. "Saul, studying David, you are but a boy. He has been a warrior since his youth." The tent fell silent. Soldiers looked on in disbelief. But David's eyes burned with conviction. "David, your servant has kept his father's sheep. When a lion or bear came and took one, I went after it. I struck it and rescued the sheep. The Lord who delivered me then will deliver me now from this Philistine." The room shifted. Doubt began to tremble before the voice of faith. Saul hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Saul, go, and may the Lord be with you." Servants rushed to fit Saul's armor on David, bronze helmet, heavy coat of mail, a sword too large for his hands. David tried to walk. Each step was a struggle. He stopped, his spirit uneasy. "David, I cannot wear what I have not proven." He removed the armor piece by piece until only his shepherd's robe remained. To everyone else, it looked like weakness. But to God, it looked like trust. David turned and walked toward the valley. No armor, no sword. Only a sling, 5 smooth stones from the brook, and the unshakable name of the Lord. The same God who ruled in the pasture was about to rule in the battlefield. Today I declare, I will not depend on what the world gives me for protection. I will face my battles clothed in faith, not fear. The weapons of man may fail, but the name of the Lord will never fail me. My victory is not in armor, but in anointing. The fall of the giant. Every giant looks invincible until faith steps forward. While others stood back, David walked into the valley where fear lived. The Philistine army burst into laughter. To them, this was no fight, it was mockery. And when Goliath saw David's youth, his staff, and his sling, his laughter turned to fury. Goliath, roaring, am I, dog, that you come at me with sticks? Come here, boy, and I will feed your flesh to the birds of the air. David did not flinch. His heart was steady. He looked up at the giant, not with pride, but with purpose. David, you come against me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. Today the Lord will deliver you into my hand, and the whole world will know there is a God in Israel. The Philistine sneered, tightening his grip on his spear. But David ran toward the giant. The sling spun through the air. One motion, one moment, one miracle. The stone flew. A heartbeat later, it struck Goliath's forehead. Silence fell. The mighty giant stumbled, his knees buckled, and he fell face down in the dust. The ground trembled with the impact. The same ground that once shook with Israel's fear now shook with victory. Then a roar rose from the soldiers of Israel, louder than Goliath's ever was. Faith had done what fear could not. Today I declare, every Goliath in my life must fall. No weapon formed against me shall stand. I will not fight in my own strength, but in the power of the God who never fails. My giants may be tall, but my faith stands taller. He battlefield falls silent.
David,
the dust settles over the valley
Lord
of
is
Elah.
my light
The same
and my
valley that once echoed with fear, now resounds with victory. David stands above the fallen giant, his sling still in hand. But his eyes, they're not fixed on the enemy. They're lifted toward heaven.
David, softly the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Psalm 27 verse 1. The words rise like a song, like a testimony carved in the heart of every believer who dares to trust God against impossible odds. Faith is not measured by size, but by surrender. David did not win because he was strong. He won because he believed. And when faith moves, even giants must fall. Today I declare, every giant that mocks my faith shall fall. I will not fear, for the Lord fights for me. My battle is his. My victory is certain in his name. I am a David in my generation. I rise, I stand, and I conquer through the power of the living God.